Welcome back to A Better Choice Homestead. My name is Kelly, and today we are going to be going into my pantry. It's kind of a mess. It's not very organized, but I talk a lot on my channel about food, growing it, preparing it, and preserving it. And preserving it and storing it is a big part of what I do. So I'm going to bring you into that chaos. I've got another Azure order almost ready to close. So I want to make sure that I'm not low on anything and so I can make an informed decision on purchase. And overall, just want to see how well I am stocked up as we head into winter. Now, before I turn you around and show you, because we're right at the entry of my pantry room here, um, I do store a lot of food, but I have been stocking up for close to more than 3 years now. So there's a lot, and I'm going to walk you through it all and tell you how I use it. Let me turn you around and let's take a look. All right, so I'm standing in the doorway of my pantry. My pantry is a spare bedroom in the house. The lighting in here is a little bit weird because I don't keep light in here, and I even have the windows blacked out with some Mylar bags. So there's not a lot of light, and that is to protect the integrity and the quality of the longevity of the food. So I've got 2 rows here of shelves, and that's where I keep the canned food that I do and some of the freeze-dried as well as dehydrated food that I do, and then anything that I buy from the grocery store, condiments, and I've got some canned things as well. So I'll take you through those shelves. Over here, I have some containers, and this is all freeze-dried food, and these bins are completely full, and I will talk you through those. Over here, I have a lot of buckets with dry staples in them. And here I've got just a cart. This is the cart that I had purchased for my freeze dryer, and that is what I had it on for probably the first year that I had it. But it's so big and cumbersome that I decided to move my freeze dryer somewhere else. And I just brought this cart up here, which is really nice because it's a place where I can work or store things before I put them into their long-term homes. And then, oh, and then on the window you can see I have the very large Mylar bags just kind of cut open and then taped across the windows in here just to keep it blacked out. And then over on this wall, I have more freeze-dried food. Some of these bins are full, some are not full, but I'll go through those with you. And then over here, this is where I have like my sugar. I have cane sugar here, and then I just have white sugar here. I've got one bucket not full because it's actually empty that I need to get refilled. And then also my salt is right here, and that's Redmond real salt. That's the salt that I use most often. And then on this kind of messy shelf right here, this is just supplies. So I've got some lighting, some batteries, some tape, some medicines, hand warmers, a whole lot of bandages and first aid stuff, and then just some personal hygiene products, toothpastes, toothbrushes, soap, things like that. And then up on top, just some extra cleaning supplies and such. So a lot going on in here. Let's just start right here. So over here, this is my freeze-dried stuff. All right, starting at the top of the stack, this is fruit in pints. So a lot of fruit in there in pints. Here I have cucumbers and tomatoes, potatoes, raw meat, green beans and peas down there at the bottom. Here I have dry beans and eggs, so home canned beans that were then freeze dried, which I'm going to do more of. I have dessert in here, which there's not a lot in there because we're not a big sweets household, but every once in a while we do buy or make something and then I'll freeze dry whatever's left. Here I have a lot of seafood, So fish, crab, things like that, shrimp, scallops, onions and celery in this tote, and fruit in gallon bags here. So these are all in Mylar bags inside of here. I'll give you a look here in a second. Here I've got squash and zucchini. I've got shredded chicken. I have hot peppers, and this bin is full, so we shouldn't try to put anything else in there. These pull out really easily. They're pretty light. Freeze-dried food is pretty light, and I can just give you a gander in there. So these are hot peppers that are, and I sometimes put the weight on the bag, so I know what they weighed when they went in grams, and then I can weigh them when I go to use them and make sure that they haven't gained any weight because they rehydrated. And then here I've got some ready to eat meals in here, and then dips, sauces, and condiments down at the bottom. And then over here I have sweet peppers that are freeze-dried. I have greens that are freeze-dried. So that would be my broccoli leaves, my Brussels sprout leaves, kale, Swiss chard, collard greens, things like that. And then in the bin right above it, it doesn't have a label because this is a hodgepodge of different things that don't have a home. So like freeze-dried carrots, my bin for carrots is full. So they're hanging out in here until I get more bins. I've got some organic cranberry powder that I did in June of this year. More carrots that I did in August of this year. Mushrooms that I did in April of this year. So just a hodgepodge of things that they just don't have a home yet. This is diced avocado that I did back in April as well. So just things that don't have a dedicated bin go in here. And then these two buckets right here on the floor, this is just some white rice, and then that is white sugar. These are both empty, so that is why they're here. I need to get more of that purchased and put back into the bucket. All right, so for buckets, I have chickpeas, black beans, pinto beans, more black beans, some boxed pastas in this second row of buckets right here, cannellini beans, Great Northern beans, dehydrated peas, yellow corn, I think this is blue corn down here. Yep, blue corn down here. And then we get into some of my grains. So I have soft white wheat berries here in front. So 2 buckets of soft white wheat berries. And then I've got more soft white wheat. And then I've got spelt wheat, spelt grain, spelt, and spelt. And all of these are from Azure Standard. I love shopping at Azure Standard. Then I've got my hard white wheat here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gallon buckets of the hard white wheat. And then I have Durham wheat right here and hard red wheat. So hard red wheat is here. And then here is my flour. So I have whole wheat flour, unbleached all-purpose. And then over here I have some basmati rice, some quinoa. So I use a lot of rice and quinoa in my dog food. So I have a lot of that. So the row next to it is all more rice. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gallon buckets of rice, and a 6th one, but it's empty. I need to refill it. And then 3 quinoas. The tops on these lids are Gamma Seal lids, so you can easily get in and out of them. And I've also got a little measuring cup that I keep here that just makes it easy to scoop out what I need. I usually keep 1 or 2 buckets with the Gamma Seal lids, and then the ones that are for longer term storage, I use these type of lids on because they're airtight and they're here for a reason. They're here for long-term storage, for emergencies, just in case we can't get to the store. I have a lot of mouths to feed, and I have including dogs. So I want to be sure that I'm not just looking out for my people family, but also for my furry family as well. So we have a lot stocked up. And then I've also got some buckets filled with some like organic oats and then more pastas. So pasta is over here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buckets of pastas. These are rolled oats and barley and millet and lentils. So all of these buckets, the things inside of them, especially if they've got the airtight seal on them, they're good for 25 years. So I'm not worried about any of those going bad. They are just an insurance policy and for peace of mind to make sure that we have what we need just in case of an emergency. And the emergency could be a personal one. I've mentioned before that I've had a lot of health issues in my life, some of which that have taken me out of commission for extended periods of time, having surgeries where I wasn't able to work or even get to the grocery store. So this just brings me a tremendous amount of peace of mind. And I do use everything that is up here. So I don't cycle through everything because the stuff that is in buckets with the airtight lid, I don't plan on getting into unless it's an emergency or I'm retired. So it'll be available for me then, if not before. All right, let's take a look at my shelf. So starting up here, I have a box, and this is my bitters kit. I like bitters. I like the taste of bitters, and I use bitters, so I just have ingredients in here for when I want to make it. I also grow a lot of peppers, and especially one year I had a tremendous amount of peppers that I grew, the very, very, very hot peppers. So I bought some hot sauce bottles. I did not end up using these, but someday I will. I have up here also the cinnamon apples that I just did, the ones I'm keeping out to snack on, the cucumber chips I did, which I did show making these in the freeze dryer, and I did try them again recently, and they are so strong, so strong. So I have to figure out what I want to do with these. There was a comment on that video suggested using them with a tzatziki sauce dip, and I do plan on making some tzatziki sauce here in the next week or so. So I think I will give that a try. And then I have some freeze-dried sweet corn here. I have a lot of freeze-dried zucchini, so a lot of glass stored with that. I use this a lot in my dog food, so I keep a lot of that on hand. I also have this in bags as well. Here I have the oat groats that I'm playing around with. I did just do a recipe with these. I think it turned out fantastic, and I'm going to be excited to try more with that. Here I've got some freeze-dried Parmesan cheese. This is really great to use just in your cooking, on salads, or anywhere else you just want the little taste of cheese. So I had some Parm cheese that was getting a little bit older and I didn't want it to get moldy, so I went ahead and freeze-dried it and came out great. I have a bunch of wheat bran here as well. This is from Azure Standard. This was on sale for really, really cheap at one point. So I went ahead and I grabbed some of those, and so that's my wheat bran. I have some of the medicinal stuff here. So this is some of the calendula flowers that I just recently freeze-dried that I'm going to be making a product here with very, very soon. And in fact, it's why I pulled out my cocoa butter wafers, just to remind myself to get that done. And then I've also got the yarrow that I recently did back behind the calendula as well. On this shelf, I have a bunch of drinks. So these are teas. I've got Crystal Light here. This is from when my niece was here this summer. She bought this. These are packets of like lemon and lime flavored drinks. Just sometimes we're out of things that my family likes to drink, and so they'll put one of these in water. I just got a bunch of different types of tea here, like for example, the Breathe Easy if you're not feeling well, Sleepy Time tea. There's more on the other side. I've got some ginger tea here. I've got some of the liquid IV electrolyte drinks here. Really good for when you're sick. I have in here, what is this? This is my nutritional yeast. So I have quite a bit of nutritional yeast because I use this a lot in my dog food. Here's the black rice that I recently got from Azure Standard, and I am really looking forward to giving this a try. And then I just have some near-term use pasta, and do not ask me why I have this. I have so many tomato products that I've canned, but I think I don't know, maybe I just grabbed it not thinking that I might have something. I don't know, but I'm gonna have to get that used up. So and then next I have a shelf of drinks. So over here, I've got the juices that I get from Azure Standard. Here's the pineapple coconut, blueberry pomegranate, and then I think there's another kind on the other side. I've got some home canned juices right here, including, this is the strawberry lemonade concentrate. And this is homemade apple cider. And then this is my cranberry powder, the freeze-dried cranberry powder. And then down here, this is kind of my fats and baking. So I've got 12 pounds of raw honey here. I've got 3 tubs of those. I've got a whole bunch of these Swerve confectioner sugars. I think I bought these within the last year when we were doing keto for somebody in my family. I think I got them from Amazon. I think that they were on sale. And with the holidays coming up, I'm sure I will get those used up. I've got some old-fashioned molasses here. This is organic, also from Azure Standard. And usually I'm on the other side, so that's why things are turned backwards. But here is some more salt, but this kind is the pink Himalayan. So I do use this sometimes, but my standard go-to is Redmond's Real Salt, but I do have different kinds of salts. Next to that, I have some homemade corn cob syrup, and I have not touched this, so I will probably not make that again. I have some maple syrup, baking soda, and baking powder there on the end. And then below that is my fats. So I've got some peanut butter, I've got a whole bunch of ghee, and then I've got some lard and some tallow, and I've got some coconut oil, which it looks like I'm getting low on coconut. These are my only 2 jars. I use coconut oil when I cook. I use this for a healthy fat for my dogs. And I also use this as my face product right now, currently, and for years. This has been my only product that I use on my face. So this is raw organic coconut oil. And I am going to be making a different product here soon with some of the calendula that I freeze dried, and I'm going to give that a try. Not that I'm not happy with the health of my skin. I think my skin is very healthy. I don't have acne or dry issues or anything like that. So this has been working beautifully for me, but it's not rated as a really good product to choose to use on your face if you tend to be oily or break out in pimples, because this can clog your pores. I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. I love the way that this feels on my face, and I think my skin looks pretty good. So, and then down on the bottom, I just have some, some extra, foils and Ziploc bags and things like that. On the next shelf here, I have a mix of stuff. So I've got freeze-dried foods. I've got a bunch of freeze-dried mango here. These are really good as snacks. They're also really good in kombucha. Here is the eggplant flour that I made. So I got about a half-gallon worth of eggplant flour. I think I showed this on my different ways to preserve eggplants this summer. So this is a really nice flour to have on hand to use as a flour substitute. And you can also, and this is my roasted eggplant, which I love roasted eggplant. This is just freeze-dried and roasted eggplant, and I can crumble this down into bread crumbs. So between the 2 of these, if I want to do any type of a deep fried something, like a cutlet or, you know, fried zucchini, something, fried eggplant, something like that, I can use some eggplant flour, and I can crumble some of this down and use this as eggplant breadcrumbs, which just reduces the overall carb count, calories, while it boosts the nutrition. Here I have a couple jars of the bok choy that I freeze dried this year, as well as my greens. Next to that, I have just a mix of hot peppers from the garden. These look dehydrated, not freeze dried. I think that dehydrated peppers work better for spices than freeze dried. Behind that, I have some freeze dried peppers that are the super, super, super hot. We're talking like the over 2 million Scoville. They're ridiculously hot. I've got a bunch of these in Mylar bags, freeze dried as well. We just had that year, we had a bumper crop of peppers. And then also back there, I've got some freeze dried chili peppers as well. Here I've got the leftover Utica greens that I did. This is a phenomenal dish, and this is so tasty. I kept some out in glass because it has bacon in it, and I want to keep an eye on that over time. And then here I've got eggplant. So I've got dehydrated eggplant, which I really, really like dehydrated eggplant in ramen soup, homemade ramen soup, and I've got a bunch of it just in various. I got a 1 gallon jar, a half-gallon jar, and then 2 quart-sized jars here filled with that. And then on this next shelf, I have condiments. So I have mayonnaise, I have my tahini. So here is like the kind that I normally get at a local grocery store. This is just organic squeezable tahini. And here's the one that I recently bought from Azure, wanting to give that one a try. We've got some Red Hot. Wings are a big hit in this house, so we have Frank's Red Hot to make a sauce for the wings. I love wasabi sauce. I absolutely love it because I like hot things. I love wasabi. My favorite lunch in the summer is wasabi on a tortilla shell with some cucumber, some lettuce, some onion, and then, like a piece of cold cut and or slice of cheese, and then just rolled up. It is absolutely delicious. Korean barbecue sauce, more wing sauce, so just different condiments, and then some like sesame oil, teriyaki sauce, things like that, things for cooking. This shelf here, this is a mix of products. So I've got, for example, some fruit over here. So I have pears and peaches. These are from, I don't know where I got those from actually. They're Orchard Naturals organic, so pears and peaches. I've got some pineapple here as well. I've got some applesauce. I'm gonna have to get this used up. What is the best by date? We'll see one. I don't see one. I did get this from Azure Standard though. This is the organic applesauce by Solana Gold. It's pretty good. We just don't need a ton of applesauce. So I've got to find a use for those. I do have a lot of black olives. I know that black olives are not the best for you in terms of, a healthy olive, but I love them. Absolutely love them. Love them in salads, love them in, Mexican dishes. I love them just as a snack. I love olives. I've got some of the salsa that I canned this year, as well as corn, and then I have some store-bought corn, green beans, and artichoke hearts over here. And on the shelf below that, I have more store-bought stuff. So I've got a couple cans of tomatoes, which I'm gonna have to get used up. I did my own this year, so I'm gonna go ahead and get these used up first. And then I have home canned crushed tomatoes to replace that. And then we've got some diced tomatoes and just some plain tomato sauce, tomato paste. And like I said, I'm usually accessing these shelves from behind here, and we'll go back there in a minute. And then I've got cream of mushroom soup. Not the healthiest choice, but certainly comes in handy in some recipes. I like having that on hand. I've got a bunch of coconut cream and coconut milk. Those are really healthy for you. They're a good option to use in place of dairy, and they are a healthy fat, so I like having those on hand. I like Indian food. Those are really good in Indian food. And in fact, I'm going to be making something with those, I think, this weekend. And then down on this end, I've got a couple cans of condensed milk, and then a few a whole row here of evaporated milk, the condensed milk. And then I just have some enchilada sauce and some, sliced mushrooms. So that's about it that I, buy pre-made. And it's a lot. So I think I'm pretty well stocked up on that. Down here on the bottom, it's a mix of things. So I've got freeze-dried peas, pears, pumpkin, squash, green beans, then dehydrated tomatoes. These are the slices I did this year to make sure that I had enough for this winter to make sure that I could do a tomato pie with these, because it brings the summer fresh taste of tomatoes into a store-bought tomato pie. So just in case I want to make a tomato pie this winter, because it's so warm and cozy and comforty food when it's cold outside, I can still have the taste of summer in them. Let's see, these are freeze-dried peaches, butternut squash, pumpkin, pineapple, sweet potatoes. These are diced sweet potatoes that I get from Azure Standard frozen. These are peas, and I'll show you the last row on the other side. Pears are phenomenal freeze-dried. They are so good. And so I can choose to use those in cooking, baking, in kombucha, ferments, things like that. They're wonderful and so convenient to have on your shelf instead of in your freezer. Moving on over here, up here in this bin, I have Brussels sprouts, asparagus, and cauliflower. Carrots, totally full, can't get anything else in there. This is cooked seasoned meat. That might be like taco meat, something like that. Or there's more than that, it's just an example. Down here, I have cooked grains and cereal, and then I have fruit in gallon bags and eggplants and mushrooms. Over here, I have dairy. I have sweet potatoes and squash. I have ready to eat dishes. I have more shredded chicken. And I have sweet corn, beets, and green beans in here. And then as we pan, so over on this side of the shelf, I do have some breadcrumbs here, so I can use those as needed. This is freeze-dried homemade beef bone broth, and then this is powdered beef bone broth that I get from Azure Standard. And then I've got some chicken bouillon cubes, some onion soup mixes here, and this is just more mango up here. And then here's my shelf with the store-bought stuff. So, just things that I use and things that we buy. Although we don't really need this because I do make this myself. So, and we didn't do a lot of barbecuing this summer, which was unfortunate. It was just a really busy summer. So, and then I've got like my mustards and things here. And then again, we've got, our fruits, which we already kind of went through, fruits and olives and homemade salsa and some purchased canned vegetables. And then we've already kind of went through those shelves. The only thing we didn't do was over here. So these are more peaches, and I know the color is really off in here because of the light that I'm using, but these are these are fine. And then butternut squash in here. More sweet potatoes in there, more peas in there, and more pears in that last jar. And then this is just the other shelf that we've already gone through, including, you know, all the baking stuff, all the fats down here, the ghee, the coconut oil, things like that. And then, yeah. So, and then up here, I do have my calcium hydroxide here. I've got a couple jars of that because I bought a big package of it. I've got some citric acid. And then in these buckets, containers here, like these two are my corn husks. So for when I make tamales, and these are my dehydrated peppers, hot peppers. So again, like when I make tamales or something like that, and we need those types of peppers. And then here I've just got like my ramen noodle packages and things because I love ramen noodles in the winter. And then the teas. So here's the Lipton that I use a ton of in my kombucha that I make. And then, you know, like back here, I've got ginger aid and some more of the sore throat tea. So just different teas there. And then on the back wall here, so this is my home canned stuff. So up here, I have like my pickled stuff. So lots of pickles. And then like these are my favorite. I love these. These are a pepper that I get at my farmer's market. She calls them a half hot. She doesn't really know the name of them, but these are amazing. And these, I've preserved them in multiple ways, but in this way, it was a ball canning recipe that was an oil marinade pressure canning. So that's what those are. I've got some pickled onions up here. I've got some relish up here. I've got my dilly beans here. I have lots of beets. I love beets, so we've got a lot of that canned up. I've got some cowboy candy here, which I think I've got 4 jars left of that. Not a big fan, just because I'm not a sweets person. I got to figure out what to do with those, how to use the rest of those up. I did give a ton away as gifts. I'm just not a big fan. They're too sweet for me. But normally this shelf is all protein. So here's what I have left for protein. So I've got some thighs in here and thighs back here. So what is that? Six quart-sized jars of the chicken thighs. And then I've got one of chicken breast meat here. And then this is all white meat chicken breasts as well. So 2 pounds per jar. I've got 12 jars here. But normally this whole shelf is filled with chicken, and we just went through a ton of it this year so far. So I am going to have to do more canning of chicken. Down here, because that comes in so incredibly handy. If I'm not here, if I have to go away on a trip, or I don't feel well, or I'm just feeling lazy, somebody can just open up a jar of this and make whatever the heck they want with it. They can make chicken salad, chicken enchiladas, chicken quesadilla, you name it. This is really, really good, easy to use chicken. So I like having that on hand. Down here, I've got ready to eat beef meal. So this is like a pot pie mix or a beef stew mix. So I've got 4, 7, 10 of those left. This is the same, but in chicken. And I got the recipe. I got the recipe from Rose Red Homestead, or Rose Red Homestead, Rose Red. Anyway, she is a very, very safe canner, and she talks through a lot of her recipes when it comes to food safety. So I trust her, even though I didn't get this recipe out of a ball book or an extension site or from the National Center for Home Food Preservation. I trust her stuff. So I have a lot of these. These come in really handy. You can use these to make pot pie. You can use these to make stew, and it just comes out beautiful. It's such an easy, just dump and go meal. Over here, I have the round steak. Round steak and gravy. And I've got quite a bit, oh, this one goes here. these don't. Okay, I messed that up. So I've got 4, 5, 6, 7 of these left. These were done in 2022, and I did not like them at all. However, I did find that I like using them in my enchiladas. So that's what I use these for now, and they will get used up here within the next year. And then here I have beef chili. So I've got 3 jars left of that. Down here I have soups. So this is a white bean chicken chili soup here that just needs to be thickened up in order to eat it. I've got some turkey soup here. And then I have more meat. So this is beef, and this is beef, and these 2 rows here are pork. And then down here I have all of my bone broths. I have chicken bone broth, I have turkey bone broth. I don't think I have any vegetable right now, so I've got quite a bit, but I do also have some wholes. And then down here, I've got some pickled jalapenos. And then I have more of those ready to make chicken meals just in a smaller jar. So, you know, personal serving here. And then butternut squash soup. Down here, I've got some pickled hot peppers. And then some like canned salmon, clams, things like that. Just extra protein on the shelf. And then on the other shelf over here, I've got like all the sweet stuff up here. This is, you know, something I don't usually grab. So I've got pie fillings up there. I've got, what is this? Like jams and stuff on here. I like to make this stuff. I just don't like to eat it. So I've got to come up with a better system here. And then further down on here, so I've got salsas up here almost all the way across, and then I've got like some tomato products here, tomato products here. Here's the ones that I just did, those crushed tomatoes. They look absolutely gorgeous. I've got corn, a lot of corn. I'm not doing corn next year. And then I've got some green tomato curry sauce here. I've got pasta sauce, barbecue sauce, again, those crushed tomatoes. And then I've got some vegetables down here, including potatoes down here at the end. I'm not a big fan of the canned tomatoes, although I think that they are probably pretty good as like breakfast potatoes cut up and fried. And then I have beans down here. So I have pints of beans, I have quarts of beans, and then I've got canning supplies down here and vinegars. So vinegars here, vinegar there, and then lemon and lime juice for cooking and for canning. Back over here on this corner, this is all of my pizza sauce. And so I have quite a few jars here. And that is also what this is right here. So I think I'm good on pizza sauce. I think I'm good on barbecue sauce. I just did those. And I only have 1, 2, 3, 4. I only have 8 jars of marinara sauce because these are tomato soup. So done in 2022. And then spicy tomato soup done in 2023, 2 rows of that. So I will probably focus on more marinara with the tomatoes that I have in my freezer from growing this year that I need to get processed. If you can think of anything that I could use my tomatoes for that I may not be familiar with, let me know in the comments. I am always open to trying new things. That's gonna do it. That is my pantry. I definitely have a lot of food stored. But now I know what I am lower on versus plenty of stocked up on for future canning and future shopping trips. So thanks for joining me. I'm not a very good pantry organizer. I totally admit that. I've come in here a couple times to try to shoot a video and it's like, oh, there's just no rhyme or reason really to where I have things. So if you have any suggestions, I am widely open to hearing them. And other than that, thank you so much for joining me. And I do hope you come back and visit again soon.